First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Orkun, Bulut, Mr. Tamer, Seren for coming to give you this fireside chat. I think it's going to be quite interesting. We're going to have these every term. So this is the first in terms of fireside chats. So there will always be two more guests with me, and we're going to discuss all the topics that is relevant for the next 5 years. First, I want to announce that I have almost like the whole of the rectorate and the deans and the vice deans and vice rectors and head of departments in the front row, and there are some sitting behind who I can see. I want to announce that our rector, Mr. Halil Nadiri, I want to thank him for attending, but he's got other appointment and he has to leave at 11:30. He's not going to leave because I said something that he got upset. He's going to go to another meeting, but I want to thank you for coming, and the same for you. Okay, so we are starting. First, I would like to start with getting to know our speakers. Can we start with you, Mr. Bulut? Can you give us if you can turn your chair a little bit so you come towards a little bit back. Yeah, that's better. Okay. I'm not going to spend too much time talking myself. I will give you a little bit. If you're interested, if you ask me questions about CIU Startup, I am the CEO of CIU Startup Studio, but I want to utilize the time for my guests more efficiently. You can always ask me questions either outside or here. Let's try to get as much benefit from these speakers as possible. Mr. Orkun, if you can have you explain to us who you are and what can you tell us?
Firstly, thank you so much for inviting me, because I'm here for you. I want to know you very well because I think it's the most impressive startup story you have also. You're so lucky.
Yes, so what I will do is that after you've done your 5 minutes and your 5 minutes, I will also do 5 minutes. So that
okay.
Because it's the first time that we met, so I think it's only fair that my guests also know a little bit about me. Okay.
Shortly, I starting. I'm Orkun Bulut. I was a journalist in Turkey, also columnist. Maybe one of the famous, but I tried to left out and I founded my own company. It's a token technology. Everyone's interested in blockchain, metaverse, VR, AR, MR. That's a new technology. We did lots of projects in the MENA region, maybe the biggest company of the MENA region, Token. Token is like an umbrella company, lots of startups in here. MetaSwan is a wearable, avatar wearable company, also a meditation center, Grover app. YouMake is a, the CGI project in the Instagram or TikTok, we made it. We did a lots of projects. We did it. Okay, it's enough. It's too short.
Okay. I think for introduction is good. Can we get to know a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hey, I'm Seren. I was born and raised in Istanbul. I lived in the US for 7 years, and last 13 years I was in Singapore. I actually started as a international oil derivatives trader. And one of the reasons why I actually am going a little bit more into detail is because it was a great job. You make a lot of money, but it comes to a point in your life, I guess you just look back and say, okay, you make good money, but you haven't really contributed to anything else. And at that time, I was 35 years old, 34, 35 years old. And I said, I think I should move into some different field of finance where I can actually give back what I learned from my international background as business development, derivatives, and etc. At that time, I had an opportunity to go into startups and advisory. Unlike Orkun, I am coming from an advisor, consultant, and investor background. So me myself has not been a founder yet, but I'm more of an investor into venture capitalists and also to different startups. And I now, I think, have 6 different investments. 2 of them have exited with pretty decent comeback. And I think, you know, for everybody here, I really encourage you to, you know, take advantage of us together, along with other professionals here, to ask questions, because one of the very important things in startup life is understanding the perspective from both sides, from the advisor side, from the consultant side, and the investor side, as well as what it is to be a founder, because it's extremely stressful where he's sitting from, for different reasons why we are stressed out. Right? We think about, you know, whether the investment is going to turn into something else, etc. But it's their life, which is very tough. It's an extremely rewarding but very stressful life that they go through. So I think, first of all, I mean, really, you guys are doing an amazing job. You know, also I think when we go a little bit more into detail, you can understand what the investor and advisor is looking for in a startup versus what a founder should be doing or has to be doing from his side. So I think that's about it. And thanks for coming here and joining us.
Okay, I think I should also talk about myself for about 3 to 5 minutes. I'm a Turkish Cypriot. I went to the UK when I was 14 years old, and I'm so old, I was teaching Microsoft how to get connected to internet. I was doing CD-ROMs for Microsoft. Windows 95, CD-ROMs had come out late 1980s. So I was doing internet startups, technology startups, before Google was around. You can tell how old I am, the oldest one. One of the original people who launched internet. At the time, having ideas was the most important thing, because there was no one who understood what internet was, so we were lucky. So I had like 2 successful startups. And then when they all went bust in the year 2001, there was a dot-com bust. We were valued at over 30 million, 100 million, and we didn't want to sell. We wanted more money and more money until 9/11. And in 9/11, I lost my 2 startups. There were 70 people working in there. So I've tasted the failure of launching a successful startup, doing it for 8, 9 years, and then going bust. And then I decided that I was not going to do any more startups because I was following the technological trends. And the technological trend at the time, internet, had come in 1990s. This was about 30 years earlier, 1990s. And then it died down. Everybody was doing startups, so it was really difficult to find good ideas. But in the last 5 years, what I call the 6th wave of technological breakthrough has come. And then even though I was not very interested in the technology, around 2020, I said, this is an opportunity that comes maybe every 30 years. I had it the first time in 1990s, and this 5 years is the luckiest period for anybody, any student, anyone with any brain, to actually launch a startup. Because we are in a time where the technology has converged. Innovation in terms of AI, in terms of blockchain, in terms of what we call XR, VR, AR, in terms of the smart computers, quantum computers, they are all here now. It's all up for grabs. There are over 150 million startups in the world, and any country that is going to change in the next 10 years is going to be the ones who launches amazing startups. So in Cyprus, at CIU, we're really lucky that we got students from 100 different countries, that we actually build a successful startup. actually Cyprus and your own country can become one of the growing countries like maybe Singapore did 10, 15 years ago. Well, I think that's enough as to who I am. So, I'd like to, before we go on, I'd like to actually ask if anybody has any questions before we actually go into discussing the startups and the future of startups and what is entrepreneurship and so on. So, any questions? Okay, can someone get you a mic? If you want to ask a question, maybe if you've got a loud voice, it's for people who don't have loud voices, I expect that. Okay, actually, what the best way is to do is just like pass it from there.
Thank you. Is this working? All right. My question is to Mr. Bulut. You said you founded Token,
Yes.
and now it's an umbrella company that holds multiple startups, right? So when you founded it, what was your starting project? What was the starting idea? And as in contrast to now, what is your flagship product or flagship, like your leading product? And what was the decision, or what was the motivation behind the decision to shift from that starting idea to the flagship idea now?
Thank you so much. Starting idea is just start like a startup. 4 years ago, maybe you remember the NFT crazes. And anyone knows the people? People is an NFT artist, but people, I think, invent this technology, NFT for art. Like a Da Vinci's 500 years ago. When the NFT crazes, the people products sold from the Christie's. Christie's very so classical way is an art, but they sold art for NFT. Then I got it. This technology is not art for blockchain technology, and how can I use this technology for brands? That's the main idea, and starting this company. Then after the NFT, metaverse rising is a new technology. What is the metaverse? I think the metaverse is a new way of the social media, because social media is not social now. You know, everyone posted, but okay, that's not. But gamification and also experience is most important than the social media. I think, I guess the next year, like Snapchat or TikTok, bigger than Instagram or the other social media. Then started the XR, also Tamer knows very well. XR, because why XR? Digital, physical and digital combined is a new technology. It's always grown up, always we found the new things. But I started the NFT.
Okay, anyone else before? Yeah. Go.
My question is from Mr. Varol here. So my question is that from an investor perspective, what do you actually look for in my startup to be interested to invest?
I don't think any investor will give you the right answer for that. But, for me, well, that was probably going to be the next discussion. But I guess we can fast
It's
forward
okay,
that.
but I mean, I like it when it's more interactive.
Okay.
The real life is interactive.
So, okay, let me give you, like everybody, an idea about what I think entrepreneurship is in the new information age that he mentioned, right? Back in the day, the traditional way of doing business, I mean, entrepreneurship in a very basic term is starting something from scratch, right? You're not going into a corporate lifestyle, you're not, starting, joining a family business where you actually get paid X amount. You are trying to find something from scratch and you build it, right? However, there are two ways of thinking about entrepreneurship in my mind. One of them is the traditional entrepreneurship where you go and open up a cafe, which is, by the way, perfectly fine. They make a lot of money to get Starbucks. And But the new age, information age entrepreneurship, in my mind, has something to do with an embedded technology that can scale. What that means in our terms is the next dollar amount you invest in one company has to give you 5-10 times more return once you actually build the foundation of what we are doing. Okay? And the only way that is possible of this idea of scalability is by embedding a technology into one part of it. Right? Be it the infrastructure, be it blockchain, be it any distribution channel that is digitalized, whatever that might be. Right? So the next amount you invest has to give you 5 times, 10 times return of the previous dollar. And I'm pretty sure that any investor, any family office, VC, whatever that you look at, is going to ask you, if I give you the next dollar, how are you going to spend it? And how am I going to get what my money is worth from the last dollar invested? Because if you come to me and you say, okay, I brought this tech company, okay, software, I invest, let's say $100,000, and you are going to give me $1 million return of X, Y, Z, and this is the distribution of the money going in. Okay, good. The next 100,000 should give me 5 million, not 2 million. Right? So the ratio of scalability has to be going up in certain ways that once you build the foundation of whatever you are going to be actually paid with, it needs to scale to a combination of return and the cost reduction of what you are going to be doing. Because the next client you bring in or the next download that you are going to have should not have the same cost base. This is also scalability component. And the only way that you can actually convince a professional investor, let's say, by the way, I'm not a professional, I'm an angel investor, but I worked a lot with VCs. They're probably going to ask you, what is going to be the next milestone? How much is it going to take to invest in this fund? And what is it going to make? Right? So the scalability factor is extremely important, and obviously the execution that they have mentioned. A lot of people have ideas. Right? It's very hard to find very unique ideas these days. They happen, but it's tough. The most important thing is actually a game plan, a strategy plan, how you are going to execute A, Y, B, Z, all the way to Z. And another thing is, what is the risk management strategy? If you cannot accomplish A, how are you going to get the A in a different way? Right? So you need to be able to pitch this to investors, these 3 things, and then I think you're good to go. Yeah, at least one.
Would you like to also say something, Tamer? So I would like to add something to this. As CIU Startup Studio, we are also investing in the startups. And we, like General said, every VC, every angel investor has very different criteria. They are maybe more financially looking at their returns, whether it's 5 times, 6 times, 10 times. But for CIU Startup Studio, we're looking for the right team. We're looking for the resilience in the person, the fire in their eyes, who's going to say, I'm going to get there. Whatever happens, I'm going to get there. I'm going to redo what I did. I'm going to redo it. And in the next 5 years, 6 years, I'm going to turn this into a successful startup. Are you going to be knocked down by me 100 times? And it is those who get knocked down by me 100 times, but you come back and they say, this is my renewed pitch 101st time, 102nd time. And I can tell you, there will be somebody out of this group or from the university or from Cyprus who will build what we call a $1 billion company, which is a unicorn. You only do that if you've got the grit, the determination, understanding, research, be flexible, but never ever give up on the idea of trying to get somewhere. It is when you leave it that you don't get there. So we are not worried at the moment whether the multipliers are 10 times, 3 times, whatever. We are looking for people who are going to have the resilience. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people with determination, with guts, with resilience to build a startup. this is what I would invest in. Okay, it's 11:30, and I would like to thank our dean, no, rector and vice rector for coming and visiting us, and look forward to seeing you in the next presentation. Okay. Now I've done after that little speech. Any questions? No.
Maybe I will add you something.
Yeah, you want to add something?
Tamer hocam.
Yeah.
Sorry. You said to 10 years most important years.
Yes.
Is first thing. It's
Yes.
because the industrial revolution is dying. Is it 10 years? Disruptive years for technology. 2020 and 2030 is everyone is the same line. Everyone is the same line. Lots of opportunity is like Tamer just says, same line is the most important.
So you are in the right time. I mean, I've got my own studio, I've got my own startups, which I am investing in, running, and I will do this over the next 5 to 10 years, because this is the right time to launch entrepreneurial startups and then think about scalability and think about everything. As I said, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity. Okay? All right. So I think the next thing I'd like to listen. Okay. Hocam. There's a microphone.
Okay, Ahmet Boşnak from Faculty of Pharmacy. Actually, before asking this question, I prefer our rector and the vice rector will be here. It will be much more better, but unfortunately, but Ahmet Hoca is here.
Ahmet
So
Hoca
it's
is
good.
representing the rector and the vice rector.
Okay, you are investors and you are knowing what's going on in the world, especially for the last 5 years. We are in university, and I want to ask very clear question. Everything is changing. AI is whatever. Everything is coming very fastly and changing our lives very fastly. What are you seeing in educational part, in education, especially in the higher education? What will happen to the university members? What will happen to the academicians? How will be the education for the students? What is waiting us, especially companies? What are they paying money for making this revolution? Thank you.
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer this, because I have extreme conflicting, perspective on this kind of stuff, especially in front of the deans. But I was educated in the U.S. and I have my friends in Istanbul, educated in different countries, Istanbul universities and the like this. One thing, I lived in Singapore for 13 years. I know a lot of people who send their kids to school over there. I know their curriculums, how they actually approach it. And doesn't matter where you are. In the last 50 years, and I do a little bit of historical research in this one, nothing changed. Right? It's still the same education system, add on little bit tweaks here and there. And I believe now the education system has to really embed these new age technologies into it so well and deliver this in a very different way, because the people, the students who are educated from the traditional system, it's going to be very irrelevant what they are going to go through in the next 10 years. I mean, yes, you can get the theory, and by the way, they teach really good theory. I'm not saying don't go to university, by the way, don't misunderstand. But when you get the theory, you need to go out there and execute it one way or the other, because theory by itself is nothing, right? So, and I did my MBA finance concentration, but when I hit the real world in oil derivative trading, I saw nothing is what they've taught us, in the sense that the theory is still there, but the execution, the real life implementation of the theories and everything that you learn here can vary really widely from geography, from sector, from whatever that might be. but a technology-embedded implementation of these understanding, the theory understanding part of it, and how to change this into real-world application ideas, I think is going to be extremely important for any university in the world. It's not just Cyprus, it's not in Singapore, it's not, and by the way, I'll give you an example from Singapore. They are already integrating these AR, VR technologies into their teaching systems one way or the other. It can be that the students actually have their own AR, VR at home, and they do homework through that as a metaverse connected environment, or they actually get taught in class with these ideas. So I think the practicality part of it and the real life applications of this theory-based education has to be improved in everywhere, because you know, the world is changing extremely fast. It was not like this in the 80s, 70s. The curve of the exponential growth curve of technology and speed is just going crazy. Right? And I think that's going to be a very important component of the education system in the future.
Maybe I'm going to add something because very smart. It's so good. Technology grows fastly. Academy is important, but more important thing is practice. Practice is more important. If you solve this news or something else, you have to practice. You have to practice.
All I want to add to that is that I agree with both speakers. We are at a time where there is every piece of information that you would get from the university on your mobile phone. If you want, I can give you free 5 lectures from Harvard University, best professors, and it's all free, everything. So information is free. What you really need to do, the lecturers, they really need to learn everything that is going on, because information is being updated daily. So if a lecturer is out of date by a year, he is out of date by 30 years, I'm afraid to say. So you got to check up to what is happening in your own industry and what is being announced, because the students can reach that. If you don't reach it, students in your class will probably know more about you than any lecturers. So what do we have to do? We have to, every university is going to have like a CIU Startup Studio, where we are trying to connect the industry, the investors, with the lecturers, with the academia, because they are the brains, they have the research, and the students who got the grit, the enthusiasm, the drive, the energy. So we are a perfect combination to actually create something. So we couldn't do it without the academia, we couldn't do it without the lecturers. They need to be guiding and mentoring as to what is needed to happen. So do you understand? So this is the beginning of why CIU Startup Studio was set up, so that we can get every lecturer. For example, I see Department of Administration, Business, Economics here, and Dean from, we got 2 deans from the Business Admin, and from the Fine Arts, which is the Architecture Department, and everything. Now, I have very interesting stories, I can tell you. I mean, for example, Dean here is working on a startup himself with his students. So, could you give us a little bit as to how, as a Dean, you're trying to change the way that you're teaching, and how you came up with the ideas to do startups? So, just like Dr. Ahmed Boshnak, he's a pharmacy lecturer, but he's revolutionizing the education in the pharmacy sector. Our Dean, Cemil Atakara, for the Fine Arts Architecture, is actually getting to become a founder himself. I'm 62 years old. I am launching startups, because it only takes 5 years. By the time I'm 67, I will have one of the biggest startups. So I'm not worried. People say to me, hey, you're too late. I'm not too late, guys. Kentucky Fried Chicken guy, he started in 65. Just to tell you. I'm 3 years ahead of you. Okay, Jamie Hocam, could you give us a little bit about you?
Hello.
Yeah, sure, you can
Actually, nowadays we are working on the VR technologies, how we adapt in architecture mainly, but also in our faculty we have graphic design, interior design departments. But except this, in a small group, we are working on something else related to AI. How we can change our studios actually, because the studio is the main factor in the design, related design department, mainly for architecture. So nowadays, as traditional, we are going to the studio, students there, they are bringing their drawings, their models into the studio, plus they are bringing their laptop, some 3Ds there, but what they are doing, they are changing, they are transform to the 2D drawings to the 3D only. And what we are using, mainly AutoCAD, SketchUp, 3D Max, this type of program, or some Lumion type of rendering program. But another department is working on gaming program. They are using another type of program. We cannot integrate these departments' knowledges, let's say, into the one or to make our life, especially for the student life, easy. So what we are trying to do nowadays, to change our studio's atmosphere first. Maybe very soon we will design a type of digital studio, let's say. Not the tables there, not drawing equipments there, only
Like
physically students and us.
Like a digital theater, right?
Yes, exactly. And as a instructors, we will sit like you, and students start to explain his or her concept first, the project, and AI starting to drawing something for them. And we are criticizing, and again, AI going to be changed, and project will develop. I think I'm speaking too much. That's it.
Thank you very much, Jimmy.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah, sure.
I think it was your question, right? This is exactly what we should do. When I gave you the answer about scalability, the cost cutting, etc., that was more like on an investor basis. But if you're a founder, then the first thing that we will also look at it as a general concept is, can you make people's lives easier one way or the other, or better? These two things will help you. And it's not about making $100 million. If you can do these two things, one of them, you will get there, finally, right, eventually. So this is an unbelievable idea, because there are 2-3 different disintegrated platforms. You are combining into one that helps a lot of things. It has efficiency, it has, makes life easier for students, so you can actually use your time in a more creative way instead of just doing A, B, C, D procedural things like this by using the help of technology, right? So this is a very good idea, and this is how you should pitch to an investor, because what he has just addressed everything, right? Why should I actually think about this? A coffee shop, I don't really have to think of it. I know what a coffee shop is, right? But if you can come up with an idea like this where everything is either more efficient or better as a life for the people, then that's a very good start for it.
Okay, now I want to come to when I launched the Startup Studio 1st of June, and I have about 100 people walking in my room telling me that they want to start up because they want to make money. And I say to them, leave me alone. I'm not interested. If you want to do a startup, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to find a problem in the world that is God. If you can solve it on a small scale in your country or on your university that can be applicable to the rest of the world, that is something that all the investors will be interested in. So, for example, the business administration team is here. If they could take their students to any industry, which is CIU Startup Studio, we can organize for them, and they can actually go into a factory or any workplace and say, well, what is your problem? And if they can understand what the problem is, and then they document this, and then they contact the engineering department, and they say to the engineering department, you know, can we solve this with AI? Can we automate this? How can we solve this with XR technologies? How can we solve it with blockchain? So the problem identification is critical. So, you know, what frustrates me is that I've got like 15 faculties here, and in every area, then just like Orkun Bulut said, we can disrupt every sector. If you guys are interested in designing this, you can disrupt this now because there are now new technologies that can make this faster, better, cheaper, or whatever. So it's all up to you to find a problem that you're passionate. You're talking about what is it to become an entrepreneur, you know, the shape of startups. The age of disruption is here. I am looking for disruptors. When you walk into my office, you say, I want to disrupt this. I want to do this in a different way. I want to build a new microphone that doesn't look like this. That is going to do X, Y, Z. But something. And that is what entrepreneurship is. And last thing, I mean, before, when I say last, I would say one more sentence and finish this round. When I meet the people who come to my room and I do presentations, I'm watching their eyes to see whether they are what I call BMW entrepreneurs. You know what BMW entrepreneurs are? They're looking that we invest in them, they make it that they're really interested, so we put some money and effort and mentorship and assets, and once they raise the money, and then they get the company so they can buy their BMW, they hardly come to work. They're out there on holiday. You know, they bought their BMW, that was their dream. So that is what we call entrepreneurship. We call somebody who's going to take an industry by its balls and disrupt it.
Amazing speech. But I'm gonna add something. Solving problem is important, but adaptive features may be the important thing. 3D internet will come. If we use the 3D internet, why we use this and tablet? Also, we will use the wearable design. Also, Mr. Caner prepared some technology. I think you have to listen to him. 3D internet become our life. We are using the 3D internet. We will watch the drama 3D, maybe not 2D. In my opinion, next year, like the library since the Web1 and Google went inside our life, the television will die, the tablet will die next year, not too long.
I think, sorry, a lot of people, they really misjudge the time horizon of how technology changes. And like I've actually talked to some investors that are tech investors, and they've been doing it for 10 years, more than 10 years, maybe 20, 25 years. These are the leaders of VC, and they have been investing in technology, and they have misjudged how fast it can accelerate in the last 5 years. And the VCs that came behind them have now better investments and better projects, because they basically said there is no way this is going to get to A from B in 5 years, and it happened in 2 or in 1. So these AI technologies or blockchain implementations or the complementary services or the ancillary products, they are going so fast. Like if you are in position the right way now, I think it's serious. It's like one of the best times to do something with it. One more thing I just want to say is I think this problem identification is so important. Many entrepreneurs, by the way, this is a statistic that I'm going to give it to you. Don't be disheartened by what I'm about to say. Around 9 out of 10 or 8 dies as startups. It's not because they have a bad product, it's not because they have bad management, it's sometimes just not the right time or not the right execution or the right way to go. So there has to be a lot of like good things working for you to become a successful entrepreneur. But this is a part of the journey that you have to take to get there. Let it die. If it dies, you know, like you cannot do anything about it. And one thing is, if you have an idea that you say, okay, this is going to be the best thing since sliced bread, that doesn't exist, right? You need to go out there and think about who you should talk to before you actually start up anything, right? If you are disrupting pharmacy sector, architecture sector, etc., you go into the field without doing nothing and go to somebody and say, okay, let's say we are talking to a construction company, right? You go to 3 construction companies and say, I have this idea. Do you need this kind of stuff? Right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they come up with an idea and they think this is going to be the best thing, I'm going to make $100 million, etc., and nobody needs it, right? So it doesn't matter how good your idea is or your project is, nobody's gonna buy it, it's useless, right? Throw it away. So it's a good idea to do this problem identification brainstorming, because it is the beginning, the foundation, because you have to point to something. And then you need to go out there and ask without starting anything, because again, if you're not going to be able to sell it, or if you're going to invest too much money into selling something, that's not scalable. Okay? So you need to identify the problem and also go test it before you actually start something. And prototyping is a very good idea. It's very easy to do. You can actually now go into AI and write a business plan, right? And it gives it to you within what, 10 minutes, not even 5 minutes. So these are very easy ways of approaching. Back in the day, it wasn't like that. You actually had to go and bury that money, and you lose that money. Right? If it's not successful, you're dead. Now it's not like that. You can actually start very slow and point it out. You can ask AI whether this is a good idea. It actually gives you a pretty good answer, or how you can pivot it or how you can modify it. So I think really make use of these things and the new technologies, even in this way. But really go ask to your clientele whether you would use this technology or not, or how can I modify it before actually going into the market with it so that somebody's going to pay for it at the end of the day.
Okay, I just want to follow something on what Hocam said. When I started, we needed to build a whole product before we could go out and try to get any money. And then what we would do, we would build the product, then we would start marketing. And that was it take us 2 years. And then over the last 30 years, you know how short it is now for what the investors want to see if you have an idea that is actually in the market, that you are actually talking to the investors. It's gone down. You wouldn't believe this. If you come up with an idea and you've done your PowerPoint presentation, they don't even look at the business plans that we used to write with lots of details. They say to you, okay, I like your idea, build your minimum value product in the next 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months is the time they give you to build that product, the minimum version of it, and they say to you, go out into the market and find customers who are willing to pay for it. And you have to do this every day until somebody decides to pay for your product. So the idea that somebody is going to give you $500,000 or 100,000 and say to you, I love your idea, here is 50,000, go and build it. Nobody is going to give you any money. Because there is enough AI tools out there for you to build your mobile app, enough up there to find co-founders that somebody is going to sell it, somebody is going to build it on the website, on the social media, to market it. You can do it in 2 to 3 months. And those guys who have not qualified for today's pitch deck, out of the 24 ahead, 14 who have been rejected for this event, if they listen to what I'm saying, what we are saying, all of us, they go away in 3 months, they come back with a minimum value product, they may be surprised that they may find 50,000, 100,000 pounds that they're looking for. So in 2024, a teacher, a lecturer, a janitor, a cleaner, a gardener, a student can actually, if they decide, they can actually have their startup minimum value product in 2 to 3 months time. Yes?
Of course.
Okay, and that is what my advice is to you for today. Okay, we are coming to 11:55. We started at 12:10, so I will finish it in 15 minutes. So, are there any questions before I open the next? Can you get him the mic, please?
First of all, I appreciate that you come here and giving our advice. And my question is that you talking about losing money, yeah? How can entrepreneurs effectively balance risk and reward when launching a new business?
Yeah, if many entrepreneurs would be able to do that, 90 wouldn't die. But it's very hard. And the way I would look at it is, okay, when I was in oil derivative trading, obviously managing risk was more important than making money, certainly, right? Because you can see it immediately at the end of the day that you are in the black or not, either red or black. It's very easy to, when you're trading financial derivatives, it's very easy to see whether you made the right decision that day or the wrong decision, because at the end of the day, you are either minus 5 million or you are plus that million. This is how it is. Because it's a very fast-paced environment. It's not like that with startups. Right? You never know what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to change in the technology, what's going to change in the customer point of view, right? So it's extremely volatile, very uncertain. But common sense actually helps. You know, if you go into a business plan and you look at your key parametrics, let's say, right? So if you get a $100,000 investment, then you basically say, okay, I'm going to invest A, Y, B, right? And you say, this is what I want out of this. So the preparation part of actually writing a business plan, writing a risk management plan, if I don't go from here to there within that time, what do I do? That brainstorming session is actually very important, and not many people do. So that's, you know, when I was doing consultancy and advisory for my portfolio companies, I always wanted, what if it doesn't happen? You know, you come up with like very good ideas. I like the way that you are going to, you know, come up with a theory and you're going to execute like this, but what if something changed? What is that risk management plan that you're going to execute on behalf of that problem? And if you start thinking like that, it becomes automatic after some time. And you can maneuver very fast between problems. So I would recommend that you actually start the risk management plan on the back of execution.
Yes?
First of all, thank you for coming and giving us very important information. And I just want to suggest to think out of the box. That's why we organized this event. I just want to learn that where is or what is the main source or main center point of this change? Companies, countries, continents. Where is the center point of changing or the startup organizations? Is this something that the company is going to trust and make invest in this company, or the countries or the governments? So do you feel that Europe is the center, or Asia is the center, Africa is the center? Is there any information that some group of people put extra emphasis on these things, or just a group of people not to organize things?
I think maybe Orkun, you should take this as a founder. And also, I'm so sorry to say that, but I think you should also listen to a founder, how he does his risk management, because it's very important from his side, and because he's on the field all the time. I am just writing as a theory. So it's very important that he says it. That one, I think you should, you know, maybe give an idea of why you changed your the headquarters of the company. And
Yes,
why
maybe.
and then
you came from Singapore also.
Yeah.
I think you most experienced from me. Is the most important country like Singapore, Malaysia, also South Korea. That's not changed one day. Day by day, I think the East most important than the West because the West old and also technology is dying. Europe's, America maybe is changed, but not to all of the America. In my opinion, maybe 10 years later, we talk about the California, not America. Maybe America will separate, I don't know. But it's not country, it's free city. Is it Dubai, Doha, Hong Kong, Singapore? Maybe 30 years later is a new project of Emirates and Egypt together produce a new city. Maybe you know the Mediterranean side. It will be change starting. Yes. Also, Cyprus have the chance like this because Tamer Hoca says starting to speech like that because Cyprus is most important because small and island and free because the future is decentralized features will coming maybe after the 2030 in my opinion, but your opinion I think is better also.
I mean, again, I think I agree with you. I don't really believe it's one specific company or country because everything is, it's such a fluid environment. It gets decentralized, it gets centralized. It gets open, then it gets closed. It gets liberal, conservative. These things happen all the time. If you look at history, Romans failed, we took over, they did this, they colonized it. So these things, I don't believe that they're going to affect in the long general concept. But when you look at investment, there is investment right now going, so let me give you a very basic example of a fund. One of the biggest venture capital funds is called Sequoia. And Sequoia actually has 3 different funds. One is only looking at US investments, the other one is looking at India, and the other one is looking at Asia, North Asia, right? So it's the same source of money that's coming to Sequoia from LPs, which are limited partners that are behind. Big holding groups, big pension funds and the like. So the money that they get is coming from anywhere and anywhere in the world. But their distribution is going into regional distribution, but they actually choose their investment strategy according to what they believe in the next 10 years, whatever that might be, right? I believe, I was just talking to a gentleman right there, and I have a feeling that Africa is going to be a massive market in the next, I would say probably 5 years. It's already started. China is going very heavily into investments in Africa, but I believe it's going to accelerate, right? So I think as an entrepreneur, instead of thinking what product I can do and after problem identification, you should really have a global mindset and say, where is it that I can sell this to as first, second, third, and why would they need it in A, B, C, D, E, right? So as a company, you need to be agile to move around regions because I'm now saying it as is, right? Because you only have limited information on what can happen in the future. Let's assume there is another civil war in Africa, God forbid, like in Canada, right? And all of your markets are closed all of a sudden. What are you going to do? You can't sell it there. You are done, right? So you need to be able to see how you can pivot this product into a different product for a different region. You have to be agile in this thinking to say, okay, this is my start, and everything goes like this. I have ABCD in my, my theory, and if this doesn't happen, this is what I should do, which comes back into risk management in a way. It's political, maybe it's crazy, but yeah, it happens. I mean, imagine one of my companies was selling to Russia, and then they went into war, and this happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago, right? And they went bankrupt, right? Because they didn't think that it would take on this long. They said in 3 months they are going to take over, and everything is going to finish. No, it didn't. It's 3 years ago. So the money doesn't think company geography. The money looks at opportunities, and opportunities open and close everywhere in the world, right? So, I mean, not even the world. People are going to Mars now. They are investing in space technology. So, it's not really a thinking of where it's coming from, how it's going. It's how agile can you be to change these ideas and implement it as fast as possible. That's what I think, and most of the investors are going to look at that. But Asia, I mean, again, Asia and Africa, I believe, are very big markets. The money is in Asia, the opportunities are in Africa as is right now. And Africa, when I say Africa, it's not just like Kenya, Tanzania, I'm talking about the whole continent. And also the partnership between MENA, Middle East and North Africa, and also Africa is going to be massive in logistics and any tech business that you can actually cross-border enabling is very important, right? In payments, fintech, logistics, whatever that might be. So I have a feeling that it's going to be a very big market in Africa. Well, mine is I'm retired.
You retired and start again.
Yeah, I can retire.
You become a serial entrepreneur, like a serial killer. Once you invest in something and you exit, then you enjoy it so much, it's like a drug. Then you want to invest in new young guys and find new ones, and it's like finding it.
Yeah, because for us, it doesn't really matter where we are.
It's like good fun to have. Okay, we've only got 4 minutes. I want to say my last piece. I really do believe this. To make a really nice meal, you need ingredients. You need the vegetables, the salt, the pepper, the fork, the knife, everything. In Cyprus, we have the ingredients to make amazing startups. And the fact that we've got these universities, we've got these professors, we've got these students from 100 countries, we got connections, we are in the right place at the right time where there is everything we got under our little country, which on itself is a little laboratory because we have a population less than 500,000. And the world would love to see this place that I can connect a guy from Swaziland with a guy from, from Ukraine here, and a guy from Turkey, and then they come up with an idea, and then one is the CTO, and one is the sales officer, one is the technology officer, one is the chief executive officer, and they've covered 3 countries, and then when they go in front of an investor, they say, when I launch this product, I will first test it in Cyprus, but my CTO is going to launch it in this country, and we already have it. And this is an amazing opportunity. Just mark my words, you are at the right time, right place. It doesn't happen all the time, but this is where we are. Well, I will have the last minute with you, and thank you for listening. And your last words, Roger.
Thank you so much. Always practice. Only one thing.
Okay. Roger, last words.
Again, thank you very much for coming to everybody, and best of luck. We are here to help you, assist you, whatever you need, you can ask us. And I think he's doing an amazing job. It's really not easy to have this courage to do it in a small place like this, but he started it, and I think it is most important is to start something like that. And now, as he said, you have everybody here. Like really, I know you guys are young. We were there too, and in the university you want to have fun, you want to enjoy, you're there, but really think about these days as something that you can do and get out of, and really invest in time in thinking and making use of these resources because they are available to you now. It's not going to be that easy when you graduate, so really take advantage of that.
Okay, thank you very much for coming and doing this fireside chat with me. I really enjoyed it. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank all my deans and rectors and vice rectors and lecturers and teachers and students who have attended. This afternoon at 2:30, we are here again, and we are going to have a pitch competition. 10 startups will present for 5 minutes each. There will be a jury of 6 investors. They are real businessmen. They are not academics. They are looking to invest in the project's ideas. So I would like to see you, if you're interested, here at 2:30. Come and join us, and then see the potential that exists and how the jury is approaching it. And then you have a chance to meet the jury as well. As I said, it's an important opportunity. So thank you very much, and see you at 2:30.